everybody for coming to listen to my talk. Thanks for Joe for inviting me here. So I'm the VPX of Radius Gold. I handle all the field side of the business in the US and in Mexico and Guatemala. I don't come here very often or give talks, but I was here a few months ago, or 6-7 months ago. I'll run you through what we've done in the last 6 or 7 months. So I don't have time to talk about all of our projects today. I'll talk about the one where we've just released drilling results on, Amalia project, which is a joint venture with Pan American, and I'll tell you about a new discovery that we've just made in December, actually, just signed in the last few days. So we've got the Amalia project, which is in the Sierra Madre of Mexico. We've done 3 phases of drilling, 2 phases operated by ourselves, 1 phase operated by Pan American Silver. And we've been able to define a very high-grade mineralized chute that extends from the surface right the way through to 350 meters depth. You'll see it up here, starting at the surface. These holes in the center really got people excited. We hit 44 meters at 12 grams and 300 silver, and our share price has dropped a bit just lately because we put some new results out, but those new results were very economic. The ore chute seems to be expanding, but it still has a high-grade core, 23 meters at 4.61 and 41 silver. I've just been in the Fortuna Silver Oaxaca mine, which is a very profitable mine, and they would be very happy to be mining those sorts of grades. So this sort of ore chute, if we go on to the next slide, this is a long section. So imagine this looking at the vein itself in a flat-lying system. You can see that that ore chute is still open to depth. It's been defined on the margins, and we don't have a resource calculation for this. There's no 43101 resource calculation, so that's the caution. But Joe kindly took our public data, put that into his model, and published a number. That number was 3 million tons at 4 grams gold, roughly, with 110 grams silver, which is 375,000 ounces of gold, 11 million ounces of silver, so all in equivalent, near to 500,000 ounces of gold equivalent at really underground good grade, 5 grams roughly. Now, because this is a joint venture project, that's not big enough for Pan American Silver. Pan American Silver needs 2-3 of these ore chutes to make the kind of mine that they want. We'd be happy to receive this back again, but I don't think we're going to get it back for now. Pan American Silver is going to keep exploring. So the drilling that I just showed you was right on the core in this little zone here, across about 600 meters, but we control 10 kilometers of the fault. The blue boxes are new acquisitions that we've just made and announced. We've known about some of these targets for 2 or 3 years, but the family who owned that was very difficult to deal with. They were fractionated divorces and lots of kids, and it's taken me 2 years to get them to sign. But just along strike, if you follow that Amalia fault zone, just up here, we discovered a new a silver zone that's just come up with Pan American in the last few weeks. But I want to show you one of the things just further along. That Palmias target, I've been waiting to get onto that for a while. And that's a photo of the Palmias target. Actually, Joe Mazumba's been there. He took that photo. He's standing on top of a large silicified outcrop looking down to the brecciated margins of this vein. That ran 4 meters at 9.5 grams of gold and 73 silver. So across that 10 kilometers, we've got lots more targets to drill. And there's some parallel veins that we've never drilled or looked at, explored very much. All the work of Pan American's been around that first high-grade core. So I expect that later this year, it won't be as fast as we like because big companies go a bit slower, but we'll be drilling a phase 4 soon. So in our last press release, we put out a cryptic tucked it in at the bottom of the press release saying that we've found an unknown, undocumented new project. We haven't located it anywhere because we're still consolidating the district, but I'm just going to give you a bit of a flavour of what we've found. We've said unknown and undocumented because Mexico has a good geological survey. They've got all the mines of the country located, they've got all the prospects, even down to bits of rock sticking out the ground with a bit of copper in it. They basically know where it is, and there's good geological maps of the country. In the US Geological Survey, we can find nothing about what we've found here. It shows you that you can still get on a mule and walk into the mountains and find something completely new. So I walked into this in December. We think that nobody's been here for 150 years exploring, and why this is surprising is because when you see the photos that I'm going to show you next, it's an extensive mining camp, really big. I've been exploring for 25 years, right from Tierra del Fuego in Argentina, through Bolivia, right up to North America, and I've not seen a project that looks like this. It's covered by ignimbrite, that's why it's hidden, you can't see it. There's no sulfides, so there's no iron oxides, there's no scandalous alteration zones to be seen, so it's tucked down in the bottom of a valley. We believe that it was mined in the 1800s by hand tools. That's small chisels, hammer and turn, and black powder and picks and shovels. And when you think about that, when you see the photos for the scale of the excavations, it's massive. It's silver only with barite, no gold, which is very unusual for this type of system, and no trace elements. So we don't really understand it yet. But here's a photo of the scale of the excavations, and there's not just one of these pits, but the multiple pits over 500 kilometres underground, not pits, underground block mined caverns. And you can see just in, you can see here, these are just my first initial prospecting samples. These are 2-metre chip channels, about as high as I could reach my hammer. There's about 10 metres between each sample, covering 60 metres. So these are all silver grades, of very clean silver, and there's some very good grades in there. And I didn't really know where the high grades were. It wasn't until I went back last week and started to look at the higher grade numbers coming through, because I was trying to sample wall rocks and find out where the best grades are, that we've got an idea now where the best grades are coming from, and they're coming from the breccias. So I'm just going to show you a few photos of what it looks like inside, and you'll see from the scale that is a road that was built into this old mine, and that road goes 200 metres into the mountains, and this is unrecorded, so it's very impressive. That's the size of some of the old excavations dug by hand. That's one of the bigger cavities. That little spot down in the bottom was one of my prospecting mates, 30 metres down. That's the geologist there. That whole cavity is 30 metres from top to bottom. And we think that the mafic host rock is an intrusive or a subvolcanic. We know it's at least 60 metres thick, and it's an anastomosing series of caves and caverns and mines that they've dug through this. So I've got to be quick because I'm running out of time. This is the breccia-hosted mineralisation that we believe is the high grade. We don't have grades on all of this because I've just been there. This is passive fracture filling, banded barite with silver chloride mineralisation. That's a close-up of the silver chloride mineralisation. That's grading 350 grams of silver, and it's with barite. The host rock is hardly even altered. It's still magnetic, and if you're a geologist, you'll find that pretty weird. Why is it a hidden camp, right? You saw those big cavities. It's got ignimbrite cover rocks on top of it. This is exposed in a small valley. That's the mafic host unit. Those giant caverns I was showing you there are hiding in amongst the trees. And this is the waste dump. So you can be standing right on top of it from me to the end of the building away and not see it. And that's why we think that it hasn't been explored. So, looking forward to 2020, what is Radius going to do? What are you going to be interested to see our press releases? We've got new targets that we're going to develop at Amalia and Palmias, and they're going to be drilled in phase 4 drilling. We've got this new project Plata Verde. We're going to develop some drill targets and consolidate the district. We have a regional exploration team that has been going hard out for the last 6 months, and the first signed deal that we've got is this Plata Verde, but we've got 3 different teams on the road every day seeing at least 1 or 2 new projects a week. We'll get another project called Bull Peak. We'll get the drill permit done this year. And there's a new government in Guatemala. Pan American Silver has an Escobal mine. They're hoping to get that back into production. It's one of the biggest silver mines in the world, and we've got really good ground all around them. So if they do well with Escobal, we've got tons of opportunity there as well. So thank you for listening to our story. I'll be out there in the booth. You can come and talk to me anytime. Thanks a lot.